Hello! Today I've got a microphone. Last year I did a poll on this channel what you wanted to see more, and the most voted for answer were abstruse point-and-click adventure games. So today we are going to do just that, and I've come up with a theme to tie it all together, and it's jungle themed games. So you can look forward to some jungle adventures. And as you might also know already from my older videos, I'm creating my own point-and-click adventure games, and the last one that I released was the Jester and the Madman, point-and-click adventure but Lovecraftian detective mystery. And as you might have spotted in the background, I've got a physical edition of it now, and it's the whole game on DVD and the first part. And it's a really nice case, and it doesn't break your bank. It's only $12 plus shipping. So I thought if you're interested in that, I will put the link in the description and you might want to get it for your collection. But now, without further ado, let's get into the video.
In the moonlight, New San Francisco sparkles like a chunk of cubic zirconium, an island of hollow beauty surrounded by a red sea of radiation.
When you talk about access software in the context of adventure games, you mostly stick to the Tex Murphy series. While the start of the series, Mean Streets from 1989, was technically impressive, the series gained its good reputation mostly from the FMV-era 1994 game Under a Killing Moon and its sequels. Whereas Mean Streets seemed ahead of its time, later titles struggled to keep pace with technological advancements made by competitors like Sierra, LucasArts and the like. One of these games was Amazon Guardians of Eden from 1992. Even though it boasts SVGA resolution on its box art, which would be quite advanced for the time, it turns out that this SVGA mode was a total rip-off, shrinking down the game window and just adding borders and an always visible inventory on the screen, which added nothing to the game and, if anything, made it harder to discern what you're looking at. The controls felt even more archaic. Where other games had smooth point-and-click interfaces where you could just click on an object and your character moved there to interact, Amazon lacked any pathfinding and you had to steer your character manually to get him where he needed to be. That's why I quickly started to use the cursor keys for movement instead of the mouse. Unfortunately, these glaring issues led to some very unfavorable reviews at the time and were deemed unacceptable, even though the game behind that wasn't half bad and sports some pretty visuals and a nice MT32 soundtrack. It even got a later CD release with full voice acting, though the quality is pretty bad, even if the voice actors do their best to ham up the experience.
Now, senor, this is where you get off.
Don't miss our next exciting chapter, Slave Traders. Jason and Maya inadvertently find themselves traveling upriver with slave traders. Jason has been knocked off the boat, and Maya is being...
To get straight to the point, I've got a love-hate relationship with the game. I don't mind VGA graphics at all, and I got used to the controls pretty quickly. I completely fell in love with the visuals as I'm a big sucker for digitized graphics, and the tone of the game is just hilariously campy, a true FMV game before that was even a thing. My main gripes come with the gameplay. Time puzzles, a severe case of dead man walking, and oh, so many death sequences. The puzzle design itself isn't too shabby in general, but if you forget to pick up one item and leave the location too soon, you might have screwed yourself an hour later in the game. The addition of the most annoying boating action sequence in history doesn't help to get me any more excited about this game either. So do I recommend you play the game? God, why would I recommend anyone to play the game? Because it's just very charming and an adventure in the truest sense of the word. While you should 100% use a walkthrough, there is still a lot of fun to be had with Guardians of Eden. I constantly wanted to see where the story would lead and immensely enjoyed the callback to 1930s cliffhanger series with the overdramatic actors and exaggerated jungle movie cliches. In its best moments, the game feels like a Disney ride from a time long ago with a unique voice that creates an experience that hasn't been replicated in the genre. The whole jungle theme is just wonderfully done, immersing you in an exotic world with its engrossing visuals and themes. When you regard adventure games as a form of escapism, then this game scratches that itch more like a cheese grater scratches your Parmigiano Reggiano. I would love to see a modern take on this idea, but without digitized actors or FMV sequences, I'm sure it would fall flat, and these kind of games just require too much effort to make for such a small target audience. Still, one can hope to return to the jungle and marry an Amazonian princess one day. If you want to help out a little retro channel grow or just be reminded of any new videos coming down the line, subscribe to the channel and leave a like or hype the video if you enjoy learning about these games. Thank you! Even though the EcoQuest series is not as well known as other Sierra titles like King's Quest or the Larry games, the first game, EcoQuest: The Search for Cetus, was actually a big success for the company. This educational game, written by Jane Jansen of Gabriel Knight fame, was targeted towards a younger audience and did well enough to get a talkie CD version and a sequel. And wouldn't you know it, that sequel takes place in a jungle! Lost Secret of the Rainforest continues Adam's adventure to learn about the environment and help out a bunch of talking animals. But instead of water pollution, we have to clean up after tree loggers who are chopping down the rainforest, which comes at the most inconvenient time as the forest heart, a speaking tree of sorts that blesses the villagers and animals of the rainforest, is about to die, and the only seedling for the new forest has been destroyed. So it's up to Adam to find a place and a way to grow a new forest heart to save the day. This mission gets further complicated by the antagonist Maximum Slaughter, a sadistic poacher who hates nature, hunts animals, kidnaps Adams, and for good measure is also a racist. Sure thing, we've got to take him out, non-violently of course, to complete our quest. I was surprised to learn how few people actually knew that EcoQuest got a sequel. Maybe it's because it doesn't carry the name in its title, or it's because they had grown out of these kind of games between the releases of the two games. The game generally got favorable reviews and was regarded as a faithful continuation of the original, even though Jane Jansen was no longer involved in the project, with Gano Hain taking over the reins. I think the game had issues finding an audience because it was catering to an older demographic than the first game. Especially the puzzles became a lot more involved. Even though there are no dead ends or death sequences, the game can be pretty challenging at times, and that older audience probably didn't care much for the wholesome educational vibes of the game and preferred more edgy teenage stuff like Willy Beamish or straight up comedies like the Space Quest series. I discovered the game in my 20s, so I wasn't exactly the target audience, but I very much enjoyed it, especially as I had such fond memories of playing the first game. I was a bit disappointed with the setting, as I adored the underwater world in Search for Cetus, but then again the vibrant jungle and the ancient ruins do make for some very nice looking atmospheric locations. The whimsical MIDI soundtrack accompanies these scenes nicely, though it gets a bit repetitive at times and will be stuck in your head for a while after playing. What I didn't care much for though was the digicoder gimmick. You get that item in the game that allows you to scan all kinds of things for points, and then you can open it up and learn facts about them. Unfortunately, not only is the interface very cumbersome, but those facts are just a single sentence and don't really offer any meaningful knowledge or insight. I appreciate the idea, but they needed to put a lot more effort into the feature to make it worthwhile. Having a kind of encyclopedia would have been great, but this way it's just a cumbersome collectathon that comes on top of the recycling mechanic that returns from the first game. Nevertheless, with its charming detailed pixel art graphics, gorgeous character portraits and a heartwarming story, I still adore the game. If you're not put off by the cutesy look and want to get away from the troubles of the real world, this game offers you a very nice vacation.
Landing! Island unknown, position unknown, mayday, mayday!
Have you ever heard of Bermuda Syndrome? No, it's not a contractable disease, but a cinematic puzzle platformer from 1996. I know it's a bit of a stretch to call it an adventure game, but you do have an inventory and there is branching dialogue, so I feel it borrows enough from the genre to be included in this video. The game was developed in Germany, and even though it got translated into English, it never made a splash in the US, where it released a whole year later without much fanfare. If the footage reminds you of Flashback, Another World or Prince of Persia, you're spot on. The game's controls are your typical European cinematic platformer affair, with slow, precise movement and detailed animations. It does play quite a bit differently from those games though, by focusing more on its puzzles than on precise platforming or combat. For the first half of the game, each screen is a more or less self-contained puzzle that you have to solve to advance. You have to shoot a small dinosaur, for example, and attach the carcass to a vine to lure out a beast from the water and get it in front of your shotgun. Yes, you've got a shotgun, and the best news is it comes with unlimited ammo. But if you think that you're going to run around guns blazing, I have to disappoint you. Most combat also plays out like a puzzle where you have to shoot in the correct direction with the right timing but not trigger reflexes. Which is great in my book, as growing older makes me less and less interested in playing games that require twitch reaction times and more interested in methodical gameplay. I think this lack of action and focus on challenging puzzles was also one of the many downfalls of the game. During that era, these kinds of more methodical games were falling out of favor with the advent of blockbuster action games and real-time strategy. The reviews for the games here in Europe were pretty positive at the time, highlighting the great-looking backgrounds and precise controls. The cringe dialogue and macho attitude of our protagonist didn't win over the press though, even back in the 90s. You really have to listen to this, it's so bad that it's kind of funny again.
What is a dinosaur, Jack?
Does the word anthropology mean anything to you?
That sounded like an insult, Jack.
Never write a reality check, sweetheart. It might bounce.
I don't believe in coincidences.
Can you see a plan to any of this?
Kiss me, Jack Thompson.
I know what you mean about being watched. It's kinda spooky.
So if you ask for my opinion on the game, yeah, it's pretty much the same. The game is visually striking. I especially like those well-animated dinos and the visual variety. The gameplay ranges from really fun to frustrating, but with the option to save the game at any time, you can manage. It definitely evokes a great jungle atmosphere, only the music gets annoying really quickly with just a single shot loop playing over and over. I have not played through the whole game, so this later footage was not captured by me, but as you can see, the game has more to offer than just a bunch of trees, and you even get a sword in the later chapters. Why you would use that instead of a shotgun eludes me, but there's probably some BS reason for forcing you to switch weapons. There's an engine for the game that will allow you to play it in 16:9, but I could only find releases for the Switch and PS Vita or the Amiga of all platforms. I found one release that included a Windows binary, but that didn't want to run, so I gave up, sorry. So the footage you see here is recorded on Windows 3.1 running through DOSBox, which works very well, even with the limited aspect ratio of that time. Bermuda Syndrome might not be the crowning achievement of the cinematic platformer genre, especially since it came late to the party. But if you ask me, it deserves a lot more recognition than it got at the time, and it's a game worth playing even today. Just expect a bit of a learning curve with the controls or read the manual, which unfortunately seems to have been only preserved in German, so if you happen to own the English manual, please upload it to archive.org. And that's it for jungle-themed adventures today. I hope you had fun on this little safari and feel a little more prepared to explore these exotic retro games on your own. And with that, see ya!
Who are are you, stranger? Are you the Prince of Persia?
No, I come from another world.
Father, his name is Jack Thompson. He saved my life, vanquished Telquad, and freed you from the Black Sleep.
I owe you a debt which can never be repaid, Jack Thompson.
Your Highness, which is the right road out of here?
But why do you want to leave? There are many ways in which our gratitude may be expressed. I give you Natalia as your queen, and soon, one day, you will rule all of Yagma.
So, on the one hand, I get a princess, a kingdom, and all that goes with it, and on the other, hey, that's a no-brainer. Deal me in!
I am truly satisfied. You both have my blessing.
Well, I'm sure I could think of something. What do you say, Princess?
I'm ready if you are, Jack.